the podcast where we dig into strategies and stories that help you thrive in business and in life. I'm Wade Perry, and today I'm thrilled to sit down with someone who truly embodies growth, grit, and leadership, Wendy Forsythe. Now, I'm going to brag on Wendy for a moment because her resume is equally impressive as it is inspiring. And I want to highlight these milestones up front so we can focus on what Wendy is focused on right now, as well as her golden nugget tips for all of you realtors out there. I'm going to make sure I read this so I get it right. Wendy is the Chief Marketing Officer at eXp Realty, one of the fastest growing brokerages in the world, where she helps agents uncover their X factor, their unique superpower that sets them apart. But her story starts well before eXp. She passed her real estate exam in a weekend. No, that's not a typo. In a weekend. And at just 20 years old, Wendy closed over 100 transactions in her first year. Let that sink in, everybody. 100 in her first year, and she wasn't even out of college yet. From founding her own brokerage and growing it to nearly 50 agents in just 6 years, to offering pre-licensing courses to build community and scale, Wendy has always led with innovation. She even helped take Fathom Realty public during the height of the pandemic, proving that challenge is just another word for opportunity. And if that's not enough, she's also the host of the X Factor Marketing Podcast and a dynamic speaker known for blending real-world strategy with inspiration that truly sticks. Today, we're talking all things eXp, marketing that matters, and how to grow your business and yourself in any market. Welcome, Wendy.
Welcome. My goodness. It's so good to be here. And thank you for that great introduction. If I need a publicist, I know who to call.
I am happy to be your front man. I am not afraid of a big crowd. You need a warm-up audience. I'll come out and do it for you. Wendy,
Absolutely.
for our viewers who maybe have not been paying attention for the last, say, 5, 10, 15 years, eXp is the number one brokerage in the US in closed transactions and the largest brokerage by agent count in 2023 and 2024. So,
Yes.
as our chief marketing officer, you play a really, really big role in eXp's evolving value proposition for agents. So, can you share the latest initiatives that agents are most excited about at eXp?
Oh my goodness. Well, there's a lot going on all the time here at EXP, and our goal always has been to help agents be more productive and build the size dream that they have for their lives. And every day we work towards powering that dream. And we've always, since day one, at the vision of our founder, Glenn Sanford, been an agent-centric brokerage. So what that means is building out an agent-centric value proposition. So, it starts with empowering our agents with tools for them to be productive. So, there's a few sort of key initiatives that we've been working on recently that I'm super excited about, and I think our agents are super excited about. So, I'll chat about a couple of those. All right. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, I think one of those that has been really exciting is the rollout of our CRM of Choice program.
Mm.
So, CRMs, we as agents have, I would say, a love-hate relationship with our CRMs, right? Would that be fair to say?
That is extremely fair to say.
Yes. We know that we need CRMs. We know that CRMs are, the backbone of our businesses, but we don't always use them. We don't always keep them up to date, and we don't always know which one is the best one for us to use. So we have offered here at eXp, as part of our core value offering for many years, a CRM. And that has
Mhm.
been what's previously known as KV Core. They've rebranded now to Bold Trail. But for many years, agents have said to us, well, what if I want to use another CRM? I think CRMs are also very personal, right? Agents kind of have their
Very.
favorites, or they say, well, I want to try another one. And so it has been sort of a sort of labor of love to say, okay, well, we want to give you a choice. So we've been working on this project for a very long time of giving our agents a choice. So now our agents all, as part of the core value offering, they're $85 a month, have a choice of three different CRMs. So you can choose Bold Trail, you can choose Lofty, or you can choose Close. So whichever one has the best bells and whistles of CRM that works for you and your business, you can choose that CRM for your business. So our agents have been super excited about that. And oftentimes agents joining EXP may have used Lofty or may have used Close previously. So if you're joining us new and have used one of those CRMs previously, that makes joining a lot easier. So again, having choice to power your business is always a positive. So the CRM of Choice initiative has been a big project, and we're super happy with how well it's been received.
I would actually piggyback on that, Wendy, to say that it is the first brokerage that has introduced a CRM of choice. In my
Mm.
experience, in 18 years in this business, in working I used to manage the luxury office of Coldwell Banker here in Denver, and you were given, here's the one option you have, and you get it in white or you get it in white, and you better like it. Or you
Yes.
had to go and pay for a third party, do it on your own. It didn't integrate with any other systems. It was clunky, etc. So this is just one more example of how EXP has put their money where their mouth is when they say we are the most agent-centric brokerage, because it is all about the agent, not the shareholder. And I
Yes.
can't thank you guys enough for doing that. What else besides
Yes.
CRM of choice?
Yeah. I do want to tag on that. Our agents are
Sure.
our shareholders,
Yes, we are.
right? So that's a great alignment that we have. So continuing on though, another project that we've been working on that has been really exciting is our land and ranch division.
Mm.
So especially being in Colorado,
Yeah.
land and ranch is, an important sort of, I'll say niche market, although some of you out there might say like, don't call land and ranch niche market, but land and ranch is an important market across the country. So we launched earlier this year our land and ranch division, and that division has been growing like crazy. And our land and ranch realtors out there now have specific tools that they can use for marketing land and ranch properties, for networking with each other on land and ranch business, which is particularly important because there is a particular, buyer, there's particular expertise when you're dealing with land and ranch, I'll say business, right? Buyers and
Yes.
sellers on that. Like
Yes.
there's a lot of expertise that goes into understanding a land and ranch transaction. So it has been really exciting sort of seeing that division come to life and seeing our agents being able to network and really build out that part of the company. So we're excited about land and ranch.
Land and ranch in Colorado is a really big deal. And I
Yeah.
can tell you that firsthand in this part of the world, everybody says that real estate is hyper local, and that is as true today as it's ever been. And I can tell you that there are agents that they have never set foot on a property that has a septic system or a well. They have no idea the difference between an ILC and a PIN survey and usable land versus not. And a buyer and a seller in that space is going to smell you out pretty quickly if you don't understand the vernacular, the lingo, et cetera. So the fact that there's an entire division that's dedicated to this is just one more example on the agent centric nature of EXP. Another development that you guys brought out just in the last couple of weeks is Slack. Now, that's a well-known
Yes.
tool in tech circles, maybe not always as well known in real estate. Tell me, why did EXP choose to go with Slack, and how's it transforming internal communications, even though it's somewhat new?
Yeah, I mean, Slack is best in class from a communication tool perspective. And we've used in the past Workplace as a communication
Hmm.
tool internally, so agent to agent across the globe. And as many of you listening, if you've been part of Workplace, Meta, so Facebook, known as Meta, decided last year to retire that part of their company or that tool within in Meta. So we had to find another communication tool. And it has been our practice here at EXP to find best in class tools for our agents. And a lot of big companies will have the debate on build versus buy. And Wade, you've got a background of working for big companies. You know that
Yes.
debate that happens.
Huge.
And huge. And the build debate, although it's changing now, especially with AI and everything that's happening in the world, the build debate means a lot of time and doesn't always mean that you end up with the best product.
Hmm.
So when we go out to market, when we're faced with these type of decisions, we want to bring all of our agents the very best product. So when it comes to communication tools, that is Slack. So that's why we brought Slack into EXP, that we can stand it up quickly. It's the best communication tool. Many people have used it, either in past lives or have had some sort of connection that they would have used it. So we've moved from Meta's Workplace over into Slack. The other great thing with Slack is, as well as sort of agent to agent messaging or agent to employee or sort of corporate staff messaging, is there's so many integrations that you can do with
Mm.
Slack that allows for efficiency, where you can connect Slack to your CRM, or you can connect Slack to Canva, another sort of enterprise tool that's best in class that all of our
Hmm.
EXP agents have as part of our core suite of tools. Yet another example of going out and getting a best in class tool for design, for marketing, that we have. So again, integrations that allow for efficiency. So another premise that we use when we're thinking of our what we call value stack for our agents, and when we're looking at building and improving upon that value stack, we're looking at what's best in class, what's going to increase efficiency, what's going to make our agents' day easier so that all of you can spend your time face to face building relationships, and the technology tools that support that allow your life to be a little bit easier and allow you to build your brand and shine at what you do in growing your business. That's the win-win connection.
That might have been the most beautiful segue between Slack and Canva I have ever heard. That was
I know.
absolutely pure genius, Wendy, because that
I should
Canva
be in
Pro was.
marketing.
You really missed your calling, Wendy.
I did.
I think you need to pivot. I think it's time to pivot. Don't tell Leo, but there might be a new path for you. Um, that was pure genius on that segue. But truly, when I think about what we've just unpacked just in the first, say, 7 or 8 minutes here, between providing Canva Pro at no cost to the agent, adding Slack to no cost to the agent, adding CRM of Choice, which is all of this is bundled into one monthly technology fee of only
Yeah.
$85. If you had to build all this on your own, it would easily run 4 digits a month.
Yes.
You can't do it. And so, further proof that this is the agent centric model of all of real estate. And I always come back to something that when you think about the most agent centric, everything's about the agent. And when I think about where EXP really came from, the roots, because when I explain this to other agents, that we have all of these tools, they kind of look at me kind of cross-eyed, like, really? No, it can't be that there's got to be a catch. And I have to explain to them that our chairman
Hmm.
was a Keller Williams agent. He owned Keller Williams franchises, multiple franchises. I believe at one point had maybe either the most or the most successful franchise data profit centers in the country. Our CEO, Leo Pareja, is the number one agent for Keller Williams. Then I come to our chief marketing officer, Wendy Forsythe, who built a brokerage by herself from the ground up. So you talk about the big three in the C-suite all started on the pavement, knocking doors, doing it the hard way. They understand what it's like to walk in these shoes. And no offense to some of these CEOs of these other big box firms, but they have not walked in our shoes the way you three have. And it shows every day. And I think that speaks to our stickiness in terms of agent retention, and et cetera. Um, when you think about all of those things together, why do you think it resonates so strongly with our agents? Do our agents just have a little different DNA that this resonates with?
Yes. I mean, I think that first of all, I think it extends beyond the three of us that you just mentioned, right? Holly Mayberry, who like heads
Yes.
up our broker operations,
Hmm.
started as an agent. Susan McLean on our growth team was an agent. Amy Weaver on our growth team was an agent. Russ Lagan on our growth team was an agent. Seth Fiegler, our chief innovation officer, was an agent. Like I can
Wow.
go on and on and on. Like it's well
Okay.
beyond the three of us. We often, get mentioned for that, but
Sure.
our bench is very deep. And, I think that there is an authenticity when we talk about the business. Like we're not just talking in the theory of what it's like to work with a buyer or to work with a
Mm.
seller. When we're talking about that, like we're talking from a very real place of that experience. I mean, we know what it's like to spend like countless hours working with buyers and then they walk into an open house and put in an offer with another agent, right? We know what it's like to be at the 11th hour and the deal falls apart and you tried everything you could do to hold it together
Mhm.
and it just didn't like come together. We know the disappointment of going out on the listing appointment and like thinking you did everything to get the listing and you just like didn't get the listing. Like there's just something that like I call it the difference between like being book smart and street smart. Like there's just like an authenticity about being street smart that I think we bring to the decisions that we make on behalf of all of you as a leadership team that our competitors that you mentioned just don't have, right? That the book smart just doesn't bring to that every day. And I
You
think
can't.
that's part of our like magic that we have here as a leadership team. And we want to win that listing appointment with every one of you, right? Like we want to get that
Hmm.
buyer into the absolute like right house for them and their family, like right alongside of you every day. And we love that, right? Like
Yep.
I say to people all the time, like I may not actively sell anymore, but like I'm with you. Like I'm living vicariously through you. Like every weekend when I see your sign at the end of the street on the open house, like I'm cheering for you for that open house as I'm driving by. And I might just stop in and say hi too. Like we're there, like hand in hand with all of you. Like we live and breathe and love this business, and that is a really, I think, special part of our company.
Here's an example for all of you out there listening and watching. And this was announced publicly, I think, by Leo 3 or 4 months ago about getting paid at the table. And this was a significant investment by eXp so that the agent was paid right then, not by check, not by wire. It was literally the deal's closed, you get paid. And it came at a pretty significant investment on eXp's part. And I could make the argument there are a lot of big box real estate companies that would look at the P&L and say, no, we're not
Mm-hmm.
doing that. Why would we do that? They'll just let them deposit the check and do it the way they've always done it. But eXp didn't settle for that. All of you, all the people you mentioned, probably had a say in this at some point or another and said, no, that enhances the agent experience. And I think the other part that I was reaching for when I was talking about all of these tools and all that you have been agents before in creating this ecosystem for us that is truly agent centric is that we are one of the most entrepreneur businesses that there is on the planet. A really good realtor is everything from the dishwasher to the maitre d' and everything in between. And I don't think that other brokerages foster enough to cater to that true entrepreneur that gets up and breathes it every day. And I feel that you guys embrace that. Do you feel that amongst your group?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
Okay. Let's shift direction just for a moment because I like to think, having spent a lot of time in other types of financial companies, real estate companies, that you can get tools a lot of places. And you've got agents in a lot of places. You got managing brokers in a lot of places. You got offices in a lot of places. But we have a little thing that's our secret sauce. And you can't manufacture it, you can't buy it. And it's called collaboration. And I didn't believe it until I got here. And I put out in my first week here, I had a referral going to Florida, and I had 15 responses in less than 5 minutes on Workplace. And these agents collaborate across town, across state lines, across global borders. And I think one of the most powerful examples of collaboration is coming up pretty soon in Miami. What's going to happen in Miami?
It absolutely is. So that would be EXPcon, and that is our annual conference. And it's happening this October in Miami, the 20th to the 22nd. And it's our marquee event where agents all across the globe come together to collaborate, as you said, share ideas, build relationships, network with one another, and really pour into one another. And it is one of the special things here at EXP is that sharing of like just business, right? People just open up and give their playbooks to each other, which is like you said, like until I got here, I wouldn't have known. Like just like here's how I run my business. People are so open about that, and it is really phenomenal.
Would you, and feel free to disagree, that when you were running an office, you had 50 agents. I had a little more adult daycare. I had 75. And it is adult daycare at times. And no offense to the agents that I had, love them. They're still family, many of them. But they would share appetizers. They would share the dinner rolls, but they
Mhm.
wouldn't share the entree. Okay, so Wendy, I like to think that there are big brokerages everywhere. There are boutique brokerages everywhere. They have different tools, this and that. But at the end of the day, I think that EXP really has something that I like to call our secret sauce, and that is
Mhm.
the art of collaboration. And maybe you've seen this in other companies that you've been part of, that the top producers will share a nugget here or there, a morsel here or there, but they won't share the whole playbook. And we've got a big event coming up that we do every year in October. Tell the audience, what are we doing?
Yes. So the big event is EXPcon. This year it's happening in Miami, October 20th to 22nd. And I agree with what you're saying about the collaboration. That has been my experience as well at other companies, is that some agents will share some things here or there, bits and pieces of ideas. But here at EXP, I mean, we just share everything. Agents are like, here's my playbook. Like, you want to know what I'm doing in my business? Like, here's exactly what I'm doing. You want a copy of it? Here's the link. Here it is. And that is just so amazing. And certainly at our big events like EXPcon, that's a big part of what happens. You see it in the breakouts. You see it certainly in the main big sessions where we bring in great speakers, but also we have our agents who are running like great businesses are sharing exactly what they're doing in their business and how they're building their brands and how they're
Basically, these big
uh,
agents are sharing.
yep, they're sharing exactly what they're doing in their businesses. And more than like what's happening in the breakouts and on the stage is the networking and the idea sharing that
Mhm.
happens in the hallways and happens sort of along the way. It's the relationships that are built, and it's the referral opportunities, and it's the connections that are made. It really is a special event.
I cannot agree more. I've been on this planet 59 laps around. I've been in a lot of different places. My dad used to say to me, if you go to a conference and you get one good idea, it can pay for the whole
Hmm.
trip. And, it doesn't have to be over the top, but this is over the top. And I can remember I've been on programs with John Cheplack, with Spring Benson, and they'd literally give away the blueprint to their seven-figure income business for free. It is the most remarkable thing I've ever seen. My first EXPcon was in Vegas. And I thought to myself, okay, we're going to have 5,000 realtors in Vegas together. What could possibly go wrong? Right? What could what,
Yes.
what could go
What could
wrong?
possibly go wrong?
And I come in the first day and the energy is palpable. I mean, truly, it's tactile. It is infectious. You can't get enough of it. And the second day, the same thing. And I thought to myself as I was walking out of the ballroom the second day, and I thought, okay, 5,000 people here, standing room only. This can't last, right? 4 nights in Vegas. There's no way. Realtors are really, really survivors. They could do it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Thursday morning, 8 a.m., standing room only, and the place is on fire. I right then and there, I'd only been with EXP for about 6 months at the time, and I said, "Yeah, this is the place. There's no place like
Yes.
this on earth, right?" And that's my experience with EXPcon, and I'll never miss one because of it. Um,
Oh,
you
that's awesome.
we mentioned earlier about EXP being the number one brokerage by transactions and agent count. But EXP isn't stopping there. We're not stopping at the US. We're growing fast. Give us a snapshot of how many countries are we in and what's new on the global horizon. Share with the audience.
Yeah, so we're currently in 28 countries. Global expansion is on the horizon. We have a BHAG, right? You've heard of like the big,
Big,
hairy,
hairy,
audacious
audacious
goal,
goal.
right? We
Yes.
have a big HAG in our international growth to be in 50 countries with 50,000 agents by 2030. So that's what we're working towards. We just actually announced this week that we're opening later this year in Japan. We'll be
Wow.
announcing in Miami three new countries that we'll be
Great.
opening in. So there is a lot happening on global expansion. We're just back from EXPcon International, which happened in June in Barcelona. We'll be having EXPcon International 2026 in Paris, France next
Woo!
July. So if any of you are looking to plan some global travel next year, tag EXPcon International in July. We'll be officially announcing that in Miami. So your listeners are getting like a little bit of a sneak peek
Mm-hmm.
of that. So but we're just back from Barcelona this summer, and we had over 18 different countries represented at EXPcon
Wow.
International in Barcelona. The amount of business, Wade, that I saw transacting was just phenomenal and on two different levels. So I saw it from our EXP agents from all those different 18 countries that were there
Right.
in Barcelona, um, doing business from a production standpoint. And I think what a lot of agents don't realize is how transient today's homeowner, or I'm going to say property owner, really is, right? People are owning property here in the US, but they're also owning property in Portugal, in
Mm-hmm.
Spain, in England, right? In
Yep.
France. So, like, I saw our American agents in Barcelona working with agents in those countries because they have clients that are, clients in common, right? That are
Yes.
doing business back and forth. And then also on a revenue share perspective with programs
Mm.
like our co-sponsor program, us as agents, right? Like I may know an agent. I may be here working in the US as an agent, but I may have an agent that I know who is an agent in the UK, who is an
Mhm.
agent in South Africa, who is an agent in Japan, who I can co-sponsor and connect them with one of our agents in those countries. And I have a revenue share opportunity off of that. So we're seeing our agents build their revenue share lines globally. So it is amazing to see our business not only build local, as we think real estate is local, but real estate is also global. And when you make that connection, we're the only company that can allow you both to build your business locally and build your business globally at the same time. And it is really, really exciting.
I'm not going to lie to you, Wendy. I've had my eye on places like Costa Rica and Panama and a few others,
Yes.
because I do envision that there's going to be a moment in my life where I'm going to spend time in multiple places, and I think it's going to
Yes.
be really fantastic. And it's interesting. It's just dawned on me that the U.S. is pretty much landlocked with Canada to the north, Mexico to the south, obviously. But when I think about the ability to go agent to agent referrals as well as co-sponsorship in Europe, where you have 30, 40 countries that are all sharing borders, and to go from one country to the next is it's a couple hours. It's not like somebody's going to have to get on an 8-hour plane to go somewhere. And I think that the EXP luxury department division probably has a lot to say with some of these clientele that want to be buying in, whether it's Paris, Monaco, all these other places. So it is
Yes.
very, very exciting to see what you guys are doing, not just here. Um,
Yes. Yes.
I know that your time is really valuable. So I want to kind of let you share a couple of your nuggets before we start moving towards a wrap up from a chief marketing officer's perspective. All right. Which I love the story about how your dad told you that you needed to learn how to sell and you shouldn't be an accountant. That was pure gold. And clearly you made the right decision. But from your perspective, going all the way back, how do you define value in real estate marketing in 2025 and beyond? And what I'm really looking for is a lot of people can put together a shiny brochure.
Mhm.
What is the value, in your opinion, in real estate marketing today?
Value is helping people make good decisions.
Mm,
And and you know what that means is going to mean different things to different people. So understanding that is going to then mean understanding who you're talking to. And that's going to mean understanding like who your sort of core audience is. So, if you work primarily with first time buyers, then, understanding your value is going to be like, what are they having questions about, right? Probably a lot about
mm,
affordability, probably a lot about like,
yes.
is now the right time to buy? Probably a lot
Hmm.
about like what's happening with interest rates, probably a lot about like the cost of home ownership. So you got to think about like what are their questions that they have, and then how can I educate and provide value around that? If your audience is much more on sort of the other end of the spectrum, right? So maybe it is that sort of, more mature homeowner that's trying to decide, do I want to stay in the home that maybe I've sort of outgrown, right? I'm an empty nester now. The kids have
Hmm.
grown. We probably don't need 3,500 square feet anymore, 4 bedrooms, but do I want to downsize now? Is it the right time to do that? Or should we just like stay here? Then I
Hmm.
want to change my messaging. I've got different value that I want to like talk in my messaging about that. If I am more community based, if I'm not maybe talking about particular lifestyle timing, maybe I'm talking about a particular area. right? Then I want to
Mm.
talk about all the things that are happening in that market, in that neighborhood. So understanding those sorts of things, then bring the value around that and bring the messaging around that. So start with your client first and then work back to bringing how I can bring them value. And that will help you figure out the content and the value that you can bring.
I think that is a perfect answer. And it actually answered the second question beyond that, which was if you had a son or a daughter that was an agent trying to stay relevant in this rapidly evolving tech forward market, what would you
Mhm.
tell them? And I think you pretty much just nailed it. And
Yeah.
it really made me think of two things. One is something from Keeping Current Matters. I know that you're familiar with that organization, and that is a real professional. The difference between the professional realtor and just the part-time agent is that the professional realtor not only knows what's happening, but he can explain it, and he can explain it in layman's terms, what's happening and how it relates to the individual buyer or seller. And it comes back to something that we do at eXp. And we were fortunate enough to have your colleague Susan McLean on last week. And she had a really brilliant set of questions that we have to ask when we're talking about whether we're talking to an agent that is considering EXP or whether we're talking
Mhm.
to about clients that we work with. And that is, can you help me? And
Mhm.
can I trust you? And those are two really powerful things. And I think that based in your answer, you really hit on the golden nugget, which was if you're going to demonstrate to another buyer or seller your value, you have to be able to not only explain the market in layman's terms, but you must do it in such a way that they understand that this person is an expert at what they do. They're not perfect, but
Mhm.
they're an expert. We communicate well because just like dating, if the communication doesn't go well on the first date, it's not going to get any better on the second date. And can
Yes.
I trust you to take care of me more than your own paycheck?
Yes.
And I think you really nailed it when you brought that up. So thank you.
Good.
Um, Wendy, this experience with you today has really been a genuine privilege and a pleasure. I watched you on the big stage. And in fact, I was listening to a segment on my AirPods, walking from my Airbnb in Miami to EXPcon, and it was you and Leo, and I think you'd only been there for about 4 or 5 months at that point. And then I saw you on the stage, and so to have you here, it's a really it's the top of the mountain for me.
Oh, well, thank you
Um,
so much. I'm so honored to be here with you.
Thank you. You've given a fantastic look behind the scenes on the magic of EXP. You've given some golden nuggets to realtors looking to level up their business. And in short, I think that in this time here, whether it was sharing the tools that you guys have developed for us, we didn't even talk about the toolkits that Holly Mayberry's spearheaded for all this time. We might do that on another day.
Hmm.
You've really shown why EXP is where the pros go to grow. And
Awesome.
if anybody out there doesn't believe me, come to EXPcon. Send me a DM. I've got a free pass. I can take you. You're gonna have to pay your own airfare, your own hotel, but I'm gonna tell you. Actually, I'm not gonna tell you. Wendy, is EXPcon worth it?
It's worth it. Come for the experience. You won't regret
Right.
it.
Do you have a special offer for our guests? You got maybe a certain website that you like to promote and give things away?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Go follow me on Instagram. I'm at Brand Wendy. So BRAND, brand, of course, all about branding. So at Brand Wendy. And in my bio, you'll find a link to my stand store and you'll find all kinds of resources there. So resources on building your brand, resources on creating content, resources on AI tools that you can use to build content and build your brand. So at Brand Wendy on Instagram.
I have been to those sites. I have downloaded materials, and what I'm going to tell you is, as I said, I've got a few laps around the sun. I have seen a lot of stuff, and what you provide is the real deal. So, ladies and gentlemen, do yourself a favor, click the mouse a few times, go check out Wendy's stuff. You won't be disappointed. All right, we're going to wrap this up. And what I want to do is basically say thank you for joining us in this episode of Green and Growing. If this episode has sparked something in you, and if you didn't, you might want to go to the doctor. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you listen. Stay connected with us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube for more inspiration and exclusive content. And remember, life is not about perfection. It's about progress. Cheers to Green and Growing, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of Green and Growing. I'm your host, Wade Perry of the Perry Properties Group at eXp. Welcome,